week 8 of the Tinkerpreneur Bootcamp. We're almost there, one more week to go, and then we conclude this 9-week bootcamp of learning how to build your digital venture. Today, we have an extremely special session. We have with us Mishal and Sayam, who are basically lawyers turned entrepreneur, and they'll be talking to you about Plain Crazy, a venture they started when they were in law school themselves, and which has now gone on to do marketing campaigns for some of the most well-known brands like Nykaa, Dr. Vedya's, and so much more. In today's session, they'll be walking you through some of the fundamentals of digital marketing and how you can actually adopt them as you build your digital ventures. With that, I'd like to invite Mishal and Sayam to A, introduce themselves, and then B, walk you through the session we've planned for today. Once again, Mishal and Sayam, thank you so much for doing this session. Really value it.
Thank you, Varya. Thank you for the very sweet introduction. Thank you, Nava, as well. We're really excited to be here and speak with everyone today. So like Varya said, both of us are lawyers. In our final year of law school, we actually started Plain Crazy, which is a creative consulting agency. And we provide a wide variety of services ranging from branding, packaging, UI, UX design, websites, digital marketing campaigns, and a lot more. Quickly introduce myself. So post law school, I did Plain Crazy for a while. As of Jan 2020, I worked for Dr. Vedya's, which is a D2C e-commerce brand. I worked there in the CEO's office for around a year. And then earlier this year, I moved to K Capital, which is an early stage venture fund. Did a little bit of startup investing, and now I'm heading to Harvard for my MBA in a couple of weeks. So, do you want to quickly introduce yourself and then I can get started?
So, hi everyone. Really excited to be here. Yeah, so started off with Michelle playing crazy back in a final year law school, and I've been heading the design, all the creatives, and having a great time just exploring this field. And being from a legal background, even my family and even my education, creativity I think is so much more colorful than the black and white of law, and it's just so much to explore in this field. I think maybe not having a formal education in this field actually helps you be drive yourself a little more to learn new things, because everything is you look from a very different perspective of what you might have looked at if you had any formal education. So ready to get started, then we can go over some things and hopefully everyone can learn a bit from this.
So, we hope to have made this session very engaging. At any point, if you have a question, feel free to, I guess, put it on the chat and Varya will alert us to it. Very quickly, I'll run through.
Please use the chat comment on the YouTube live, and I'll keep an eye out there for any questions or like anything you'd like them to go over. So, yeah.
Sounds good. So guys, we've tried to make the session, pretty engaging. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through some of the very basic fundamentals of digital marketing, how it started, what it is, why is now a good time, what are some of the things to keep in mind while, running a digital marketing campaign, whether it's platform budget, so on and so forth. How can you make your campaigns engaging, contagious, sort of viral? And then Sayam, Sayam has also done is he's put together 2 case studies of campaigns we've done with our clients at Plain Crazy. So Sayam will then take you through some of that as well. So again, feel free to interrupt at any time if you have any questions. So coming to digital marketing, what really is digital marketing? When did it really start? How is it different from, other forms of marketing? So I think one common misconception, and this is something we will get into more detail about later, is that digital marketing is only about social media. That is not the case. Digital marketing is any platform that is digital, so to say. So, this picture, I don't know if any of you know who he is, but his name is Marconi, and he invented the radio, I think back in 1896. And, funny story, I think 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, 10 years after the radio was invented, the Met streamed one of their live opera shows on the radio. And what they noticed was right after they did that, there was an uptick in the number of sales of tickets for the next show, which, obviously they didn't intend it to be, but it was one of the first known examples of digital marketing, because this was, again, not offline, it's happening digitally through a radio. At that time, they had no phones, no computers, no social media, anything like that. But just by people hearing it on the radio, they then were convinced to go out and buy tickets. So digital marketing includes, social media, of course, but it also includes emails, SMS, WhatsApp, radio, and several other platforms, as we'll quickly cover. So why is digital marketing so important? Why is it sort of gotten such a boost, especially in the past few years? Couple of reasons, I think, and most of you will know this, but I think since the advent of Reliance Jio, it's become easier for people around the country to access data. Two reasons. One is obviously, Reliance Jio came in with much more reasonable and affordable plans. And B, they got the, earlier you'd go into like smaller towns, you'd go into villages, and you'd have a very, very rare chance of catching signal. What Jio did was when they sort of launched, maybe not evenly across the board, but they did a much better job. And generally, of course, as technology has developed, as time has gone by, all sort of service providers have made network reach all parts of the country, including 4G data. So, with that, the number of active internet users in India is expected to increase by 45% in the next 5 years and touch 900 million by 2025 from around what was only 622 million in 2020. So what are some of the reasons, right? So obviously this increase, I think, will be driven by higher adoption in rural India. So a lot of the people in, say tier one cities already had access to internet, but in rural India and smaller cities, there has been a huge growth in the number of active internet users, which is defined as at least, using the internet once every 5 days, if I'm not mistaken, has clocked a 13% growth, and now there are 299 million internet users over the past year, and past year referring to 2020, or 31% of India's rural population. That number continues to grow at an exponential rate. Um, when you talk to people who've been working in internet-led companies or internet-led businesses for the past, 10, 12 years, they'll always talk about the three M's. You know, Everyone will say, oh, internet in India is defined by the three M's, it's defined by this. That is no longer the case. And the three M's were males, millennials, and metro cities. And now 43% as of 2020 of internet users in India were women. Metro cities are no longer, the only ones using the internet, as seen in the point above. There's a huge adoption in rural India as well. And it's no longer millennials, and I'm sure a lot of you have noticed this, and I think especially over the past 15, 16 months with lockdown and everything, my parents have seen this with them as well. They've been using the internet to shop online, to even order groceries, Amazon, all of that, a lot more. And so the three M's are no longer, or internet in India is no longer sort of restricted to the three M's. It's really expanded. And of course, the pandemic has led to a boom in e-commerce. I think, again, two reasons, right? People are scared to go out, and obviously you're realizing that, okay, everything is shut. Where do I get my stuff? Okay, you can get it online. Um, so again, what is digital marketing? What does it include? And sorry, I'm just gonna go one slide back. Yes. So what is sort of online digital marketing? So there's 7 things, and I don't want to spend too much time getting into this, but just so that everyone knows, there's search engine optimization, which usually refers to how you get your page to rank in the top page on Google. So if I search Facebook, will Facebook be the first link that shows up, not counting the ads? You'll see on Google, whenever you Google anything, there'll be 2 ad links on top and then the rest. So SEO sort of very basic way of describing SEO is that it sort of helps you get to the top of your Google search results. Search engine marketing is again exactly those 2 ads that you see on top. So, how do you make sure that if you're spending, how do you optimize it in such a way that when people search for certain things on Google, you're the first ad that shows up? Because obviously there's a lot of competition, a lot of brands advertising. There's content marketing and social media marketing, which I'm sure most of you are aware about. There's pay-per-click advertising, which again, works in many different ways, but when you go to certain websites, for example, you'll see on the web page different ads running or different ads from different websites. And if you click on it, it'll take you to that website page. The great example of this is sometimes, you look at something on Amazon and you won't buy it. And then you'll go to, say, a Cricinfo website and you'll suddenly see the same product showing up from Amazon. The way this works is sort of pay-per-click advertising. You click on it, Amazon pays the website for each sort of click that they, or each person of, or each user of traffic that they redirect to the website. There's affiliate marketing, and there's email marketing. Email marketing again is something we will talk about in one of our case studies. Also pretty self-explanatory. And then there's affiliate marketing, which again can work in several different ways. But a good way to think about it is on Instagram, you will see a lot of brands might post for, or on the internet, you'll see a lot of brands sort of post or talk about other brands to their website, or you'll buy something on one website, they'll say, okay, use this code and get 10% off from another website, sort of influencer marketing in a sense. So when you're looking at digital marketing, when you're creating digital marketing campaigns, I think two main questions to ask yourself. What are you marketing for? So what is the product? What is the service? What is the goal? And why are you using digital marketing? So, for example, when I say what is your goal, right? Are you trying to sell a product through e-commerce website? Are you trying to promote your app? Are you promoting a service? Are you trying to are you running a crowdfunding campaign? Are you working for an NGO and trying to get more donations? Are you getting more people to sign up? Is it just to showcase your brand? Is it just to showcase your work? So that obviously this is not even an exhaustive list. There's several different reasons for why someone will want to market. And I think the first thing when you're creating a digital marketing campaign is to just sit down and be like, which of these, or even something else, what is my goal for the campaign? Do I want to do any of this? Do I want to do something else? And that's when you sit down and be like, okay, this is what I want to do. So this is how I will craft the campaign. Why are you sort of marketing it? So again, right, if you're marketing a product, the reason you're marketing, the why will be sales. Say when I used to work at Dr. Vaidya's, we had several different immunity boosting medicines. We used to market those on Facebook, on Instagram, on Google, on TikTok, many other platforms, um, ShareChat, whatever it may be. And so what were we trying to market? It was say Herbo Fizz, which was one of our immunity products. Why were we trying to market it? To get more sales. So once you answer those two questions, it's very easy to then craft the campaign and the strategy. Um, Another thing is the platforms, right? So today there are several different platforms. This is obviously not an exhaustive list, but some of the most popular ones are Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. And in India, obviously now there are loads of homegrown social media websites as well. These are some of the really new and upcoming, not so much upcoming anymore. They've done a great job. Indian grown sort of short video content platforms. So ShareChat, Reposo, Trell, Chingari, all great platforms. Obviously when you're sitting down, the next step after okay, this is what I want to market, this is why I want to market it, you have to choose your platform. Obviously, because there are so many different possible choices for the platform, I think there are three questions you need to really ask yourself. What is your end goal? So, for example, if your end goal is sales, I would say that Facebook and Instagram are much better platforms than say LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a more professional website. LinkedIn, we've noticed, works really well for B2B campaigns, for lead generation campaigns. But it's very rare that you'll see someone trying to run an ad to sell a product on LinkedIn. Um, who is your audience? I think this is the main thing, or this is the best thing about digital marketing nowadays. And I forgot to sort of cover this earlier, but I think the main difference between most digital marketing that happens nowadays versus traditional offline marketing is the fact that you can target the sort of consumer you want. So what that means is, say you're driving on the road, you see a billboard. There's no way for them to know who is the billboard targeting, who saw the billboard. All they can choose is the location. If you're marketing on Facebook, you can say, this is the city I want to market to, this is the age I want, it can be between 18 to 35 or between 25 to 40. These are the age groups that I want to see my ad. I want only lawyers to see my ad. I want only entrepreneurs to see my ad. I want only students to see my ads. So you can get really, really deep into it. And this is very important because there's so much money that you're going to be pumping in. You want that ad spend to be optimized. And I'll talk about this a little bit more in detail in the next few slides. But say I'm spending 1,000 rupees to run my ad on Facebook. If I show it to everyone on Facebook, I'm going to get very bad results because 1,000 rupees is not going to take you very far when there are so many billion people using Facebook. If I say, okay, I know my product is only available in Bombay, and the people who are interested in my product are people who are in school between, say, the ages of 12 to 18. And what is their profession? They're students. So then I will make sure that I target only students in Mumbai with my ads. And what that's going to help me do is that it will create the perfect ad set, which will say be only 10,000 people or 15,000 people or 20,000 people who are on Facebook of that category. And it will only show it to them. So you're able to optimize your campaign. Budget is again very important. Some platforms are very expensive. There's high levels of competition. LinkedIn, for example, is very expensive to run ad campaigns on. Even they recommend you spend at least 750 rupees a day. We've noticed that with less than 1,500 to 2,000 rupees a day, depending on what you're trying to market, it's pretty hard to get good results. So, it's important to say, okay, if I only have 5,000 rupees, then I will not choose like 4 or 5 different platforms. I'll only choose one platform and I'll focus on it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So what should I measure? So I'm gonna quickly go over these 5 terms. These are not the only things you should measure, but here are some, some of the most important things that people do measure while doing digital marketing campaigns. Um, so what does it stand for? Sorry, um, there's ROI, which is return on interest. There is a return, sorry, there's ROI, which is return on investment. There's ROAS, which is return on ad spend. There's CPM, which is cost per impression. There is CTR, which is click-through rate. And there's CPL, which is cost per lead. Again, there are many other things that you can measure depending on the platform and what you're trying to do. For example, when you're marketing, when you're doing email marketing, you're also in addition to all of these, you might even do what was my open rate. So this isn't an exhaustive list, but these are 5 really important ones. So what is return on investment? Say I'm running an SMS marketing campaign and I spend 500 rupees sending it to my users. Now I got 2,000 rupees as my return. That means there was a 4x return on investment because I invested 500 rupees and I earned 2,000. So that's something that you should always know, because if your return on investment is less than 1, for example, if I spend 500 rupees and I only get 250 rupees of sales, that means I have a 0.5 ROI. Then it's completely pointless, right? I'm losing money for the ad campaigns. Then I know, okay, I need to change something, I need to do something different. ROAS, return on ad spend, it's if I'm spending 1,000 rupees on Facebook, um, and I'm again, same thing. If I'm getting 2,000, my ROAS is 2x. If I'm getting 500, it's 0.5. The difference between ROI and ROAS is, it's maybe a little tough to understand when I explain like that. But for example, when I run a campaign on Facebook, I am paying designers to make creatives for me. I am paying, for the ad guys to run my campaign, and then I'm also paying for the budget of what the exact ad spend is. So all of those things would get factored into ROI, return on investment, because that's where you sort of calculate the entire total investment that you put in. ROAS brands tend to focus only on the amount that they've spent on running the ad. CPM, cost per impression. So if I run my ad on Facebook and I spend 100 rupees and 100 people see it, that means my cost per impression is 1. Per user, I'm getting 1 rupee, 1 impression. Um, and then CTR is click-through rate. So this is more important for e-commerce campaigns, but you want to know, okay, actually it could be important for many sort of campaigns. You want to know that, okay, if I am if I'm running an ad and 100 people see it, if 5 people actually click on the ad, that means my click-through rate is 5%. So you want to make sure that your click-through rate is as high as possible because you want everyone who sees your ad to be very interested in seeing it. I mean, clicking on it, sorry, and going to the next step. CPL, this is important when you run B2B campaigns. So for example, one of our clients for Plain Crazy right in the beginning was a real estate firm, and they had made a new building in Karjat in Maharashtra, and they wanted to generate leads where their sales team or their brokers could then call these people. So we ran these ads on Facebook where you click on the ad and you have to um, fill in your name, your email ID, your phone number, and then that sort of counts as a lead, which their sales team can then call and take it forward. So CPL is cost per lead. How much did it cost per person or per lead that got filled in? So how do a lot of people say, okay, I want to take it viral. How do you get my campaign viral? Very honestly, there's a huge amount of luck involved in taking campaigns viral. And there's also, the algorithm of all these social media platforms work in many different ways. So it's tough to say, okay, if I do this, it is going to go viral for sure. But there are 6 things that you can sort of try incorporating into your entire campaign, which can provide some assistance. So this is a book called Contagious: Why Things Catch On by Jonah Berger, and he talks about steps. What does STEP stand for? These are the 6 things. So social currency, stories, triggers, emotion, public, and practical value. So I'm going to quickly go through all of this and then we'll jump into the case studies and how you can really implement some of these things. Um, so, for the first four things, right? Stories, social currency, triggers, and emotion. I think one very important or one great example, and I know all of you are much younger, and I don't know how many of y'all will remember this, but are the Livestrong bands. So it used to be the Livestrong yellow bands that a lot of people used to wear. I've actually seen a few people still wearing them recently. And it was, it was a social impact initiative started by Lance Armstrong and a lot of other people. They were trying to raise awareness for a good cause and also, raise money for it. And so, I'll explain to you why that's a good example of the first four things. So stories, when as a brand, right, if I'm marketing or if as a market digital marketing executive, if I'm trying to run a campaign, I want there to be some story behind it so that people talk about it. So for example, with the Livestrong band, I might tell Siam, oh, have you heard about this cyclist, Lance Armstrong? He's going through this sort of, he had cancer and he started this um, initiative and they're selling these bands. And so there's a story behind the product or the ad that they're sort of looking to run. Social currency, I think at one point it became very cool to wear these bands. When I was in school, everyone used to wear these bands. So in that way, it acts as social currency, which means that if you have it, other people want to also have it. It's like sort of fear of missing out now, what is now very common, but not having it makes it FOMO. So social currency is really important and it works really well for digital campaigns because, say you see a really cool thing on Instagram and you send it to your friends, and then your friend might send it to a friend who might send it to a friend, and very quickly it sort of spread among it. And if it's a product, it's possible that everyone wants it. Um, triggers. So triggers is the way they talk about it is sort of a top of mind approach. So for example, if I am again with the Livestrong band, if everyone was wearing one on their hands, people who don't have it, um, they're seeing it all the time. So it's always in the top of your mind. So for example, when I would do digital marketing campaigns for Dr. Vaidya's, what we would do is for our, say again, Herbo Fizz Immunity, or let's say Herbo Charm, our skincare product, we'd market it on Facebook, we'd market it on Instagram, on Google, on ShareChat, on Raposo. But then, so you're seeing it everywhere. Then we're sending you SMSs about it, we're sending you email about it, you're hearing about it on other platforms. So it's really important that, it stays top of mind because nowadays, you see so many different ads, you see so many different campaigns, you might forget like 2 minutes after seeing it. So, not only should it have a story, not only should it try and have some sense of social currency, it should also be, constantly, you should be reminded of it. Which was a great example of that, of course, was the Livestrong bands. Um, Emotion is also really important in taking things viral. I don't know again how many of you remember, but a good example of this was the Britain's Got Talent, if I'm not wrong. There was a contestant called Susan Boyle, and she auditioned, and it was a very emotional audition. And very quickly, people started sharing the video, the YouTube link of this audition. I think within a few days, everyone had seen it, and obviously, she went on to become now a global superstar. You see this on WhatsApp a lot. People will share things on WhatsApp that has some emotional story or has some sort of emotion attached to it. And emotion doesn't mean it has to be sad, right? It can be funny, it can be whatever. The cred ads, for example, the cred ads they're hilarious and everyone has been sharing them with each other. So that's a great example of it as well. Public and practical value, these, not necessarily the most important things to make sure that your digital marketing campaign goes viral. Practical value is like, it's something that people can use. So if people can use it, they're more likely to share it or talk about it. So, for example, again, with Dr. Vaidya's, if I'm marketing an immunity tablet, during the lockdown, during the beginning of the pandemic, everyone wanted to boost their immunity, and you don't want to do it with chemical ways. It was all Ayurveda, all natural products. So we noticed that a lot of people were seeing our Instagram posts and sharing it with their friends because it had practical value, right? Or forget our products, we would do these series of tips where we would say how to make, for example, Ayurvedic kadha at home. We noticed those would get shared a lot because they have some practical value with it. And obviously, were open in the public and um, had a lot of use for everyone as well. So guys, I know we are running a little short on time already. So before we get into the case studies and before Sayam takes over, Varya, are there any questions or anything
Yeah,
as of
we
now?
do a couple of questions. I was just about to pause you for those. So first is specific to SEO, which is that if no one's thinking about this specific product that I've created, how do I sort of get people to use? How do I use SEO to get people to come onto my website? And I'll also tell you the second one in case you want to combine
Sure.
them or do it. It's more on affiliate marketing, right? Like, what is a good way to get started with affiliate marketing? Because what we've seen for affiliate marketing typically become very large schemes and businesses, but what would be, say, a small scale example then that students can actually start with?
Perfect. Sounds good. Great questions. And let me just take the first one. So SEO, without going into too much detail or spending too much time on it, I'll just quickly cover how it really works. So I'm just trying to Google something to show you. Anyway, say anyone can sort of take it out and let's Google cricket. When I Googled cricket, now obviously loads of people, a lot of people have websites about cricket, a lot of people are talking about cricket, writing articles on cricket, all of that. The first thing that sort of comes up on Google is icccricket.com. The next is CrickBuzz. Then after that, I'm getting Cricinfo. Why is Cricinfo not coming ahead of CrickBuzz? The way they do it is that there's off-page SEO and there's on-page SEO. So don't want to spend too much time on that. But at the end of the session, I have my email, and whoever's interested in SEO, feel free to drop me an email, and I'd be happy to send you more information about it. But you want to rank. So say that okay, most of the users that I want to attract are searching for the word cricket. You will then put in your URL link, you will put in your page, the page itself, you will have the web page itself, you will write the word cricket a certain number of times, depending on how many words you have in total. You want a certain percentage of that to be the word cricket. In your meta description, which are the two lines that show up when are under a website when you Google something, you'll optimize that for the keyword cricket. So when I look at the results that come right on top for cricket, ICC cricket is number one. Their URL has cricket in it, it's ICC cricket. Their Google title that comes is Live Cricket Scores and News International Cricket Council. And then in the meta description, again, they have the word cricket coming twice. So obviously, this is a very basic way because there's a lot more that goes into it. But you'll see in this itself, there's so many reasons why they could be ranking so high, because they've used the word cricket so many times, they're doing it in the right way. Um, why is Cricinfo coming a little earlier? So in the CricBuzz URL that's showing up for me, that has crickbuzz.com/cricket match. So cricket match, cricket is coming in the URL versus Cricinfo is just ESPN cricinfo.com. So that's just a very basic way of looking at it. But if you're looking at getting more attention for your product, whatever, say you're trying to sell shoes and no one knows about your product, you will say, okay, people are searching. You go first, you can track how many people are searching for shoes in India, or how many people are searching for running shoes if you're trying to sell running shoes. Then you see, okay, 10,000 people are searching for shoes, 2,000 people are searching for running shoes. If you're only selling running shoes, you'll be like, okay, it makes sense for me then to only target the people searching for running shoes, because regular shoes will have a lot more competition and a lot of people who are not even interested in running shoes. So then you'll start creating your SEO strategy around the keywords running shoes or running or whatever else. And very often brands optimize for many different keywords, but that's how you really get started. Um, sorry, Varya, what was the second question? Affiliate marketing, right?
Affiliate marketing, yes.
So again, great question. So there are a couple of different examples of how you can do this. And I'm going to give you two examples of stuff that or resources we used at Dr. Vedias for affiliate marketing. One very new age company and one which is obviously a very old model. So when you search, if you guys Google, okay, say you're shopping on um, any e-commerce website, and you search then discount on, so whatever the website may be, say discount for Dr. Vedya's, you will suddenly see a whole series of websites, like Coupon Dunya, coupon platforms, third party coupon world, whatever it may be. There's several different of these coupon websites, and you click on them and you will see, okay, it has a 10% off, 15% off, 5% off, whatever it may be. And sorry and you click on that coupon and you'll get a coupon code. You apply it on the website and you'll get a discount. Now Dr. Vaidyas will pay that coupon website or that platform a certain percentage or a certain amount per sale. That's a perfect example of, or that's a good example of affiliate marketing. Another example, which is another company we worked with, new company, very exciting business model. They basically let users, so say Siam signs up to the platform. There are a couple of these, but the one we worked with was one code. Say Siam signs up for one code, he'll get a code saying, whatever, Siam 235. He'll tell me, oh, Mishal, and one code has partnered up with Dr. Vedyas. He'll tell me, oh, Mishal, if you're ever buying anything on Dr. Vedyas, use this code Siam 235 and you will get a discount. And then Siam will also get some sort of commission from the company. So that's a way that brands are adapting to new digital sort of ways of affiliate marketing as well.
Yeah, I think those are very helpful examples. And just adding one more could also be in general referrals, right? Like there are a lot of organizations and companies or online softwares that you can use in which you can create unique URLs and use that. So if you want to share it with your friends, classmates, mentors to get referrals, that's also a great way. Mishal, we have one final question, I think, and this is a really interesting one because it sort of connects to your point about the larger internet audience that we have now in India specifically, which is how do you reach those who are not digitally literate yet? And when your product is sort of designed for their use. So in a way, I think what the mentor is sort of asking is when you're creating a new audience or a newer product, how do you sort of get them up to date enough to be able to use it and also just reach them? I think both parts of it.
That's a great question. Very, very interesting and very, very relevant as well. So just going back to my slide earlier where I spoke about how India is no longer internet in India is no longer defined by the three M's, the males, metros, and millennials. What a lot of people now working in these sort of in internet-led businesses or digital marketing say is that India's internet is now defined by the three V's. That's voice, video, and vernacular. So just giving you a little bit of data on this. Between 2019 to 2020, there was a 270% growth in voice search. In beginning of 2020, YouTube had 265 million unique users every single month, and 95% of video consumption in India happens in local languages. And of course, vernacular content is extremely important. So what I'm really trying to say is that there are more and more people who have access to the internet, and maybe they're not completely digitally literate. They might not be as tech savvy, and they could be from tier one cities, tier two, tier three, tier four, whatever. Maybe it could be an age thing, it could be whatever the reason may be. But people are picking up on different ways to use their devices. So marketing on YouTube, marketing on Hotstar, digital marketing on these OTT platforms, right? A lot of people watch content on Sony Live, on Z5, on Hotstar, whatever it may be, advertising on there, advertising on, local social media platforms, forget Facebook, forget Instagram, look at ShareChat, look at Roposo, look at Trell, look at um, Chingari, look at Koo. There are many, several different platforms that are coming up for that are being used in local languages, that are being used all across the country. And then, of course, video, again, that's something that can be produced in any language, any number of languages. So that's sort of looking at it as, okay, creating vernacular content, creating voice content as well, radios, um, making sure that, okay, if I run an ad in on Facebook, maybe don't just do a picture, maybe do like a voice over the back of it. So there are many different ways to reach people, many different ways to really get the message out there, even if people are not necessarily the most savvy users of tech.
Thanks, Michelle. I think those are all the questions we have for now. If there are any at the end, we can come back to those.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, guys, for asking those questions. They were all very, very good. So quickly, I know again, Sai, I know we're sort of running out of time, but I'll just request Sayam to take you through two case studies. These are campaigns that run recently. So one is on IHM Aurangabad, which is a university which Sayam will tell you more about, but it's the Institute of Hotel Management in Aurangabad. And then we have another campaign case study that Sayam will take you through. Sayam, you just want to introduce this one and get started?
Sure, definitely. So we've both the case studies we have are somewhat linked to education, and so first one is the hotel management culinary school in Aurangabad. So here we manage this account on a daily basis, and the idea is to showcase all the activities that's happening inside the campus and outside on their social accounts. So that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and even YouTube now. So if you can read through the aim of this college has been to stand out amongst all other culinary colleges and hotel management colleges in India, that being the number one aim. And second being to able to show the lifestyle of students and the lifestyle of the faculty and even any other stakeholders that might be part of the college. That includes, you know, other chefs coming from other colleges, or maybe a manager of Taj coming over to the college. All these more formal meetings happening amongst the faculty and amongst their mentors and board members, to have one location on the digital platform to communicate everything that's going around about the college. The challenge that we faced in the last 12 months, as you will all know, that the students aren't on campus, and doing and having a digital media or a social marketing strategy became even more important. And the whole idea was to kind of figure out a way how we can sustain the campus, how we can sustain the communication at a very high standard. And we've tried a bunch of different activities. So as discussed by Michelle earlier, we had to like recognize what was the audience first. So there are these 5 different audiences. So number one being the current students that are on campus. Second being the faculty that's on campus. Yeah, you can see it here. And then third being the parents themselves. So those are the guys who those are the people, the audience who will drive the decisions of keeping a student in college. And especially during right in the beginning of the lockdown period, there was so much uncertainty because some students, are they going back? Are they coming back? When is the college starting? How are the exams going to be? So that became another very important target set. Then we had the prospective students who might want to join the college and learning about them, how they can apply. So showing them the campus, what's going on, how does the college do, how the classes look, everything like that became even more important. And the last that we have is the alumni. So though campus people have graduated, the whole idea of any campus, I think any college in India, anywhere in the world, having a very strong your alumni group becomes really important to help your current students see where they can end up after they finish their course, for the current students parents to see how what their kids can become in the future, and even for the faculty, even for the other stakeholders, that be board members or any trustees, etc., to know how well the students are doing. And as you would all realize, placements is such a big buzzword, but to see a true success story, you have to connect back to the alumni of how they were students 5 years ago, and 5 years later they are running their own hotel chain, etc. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, so our content strategy, as you will realize, if it's a formal institute and just being another college, and most of our listeners might be in school and college, you can imagine how the control is always with the faculty, and they always want to have a very clean image about what the college is, and always speak in a very monotone. So there is no dialogue. Usually, when it comes to pages of institutes, that it's just the college speaking to the parents, or college just talking about what a student did, or who came to visit the college, or some guest lecture happened, etc. What we tried to do, we didn't want to make it another college page. We wanted to make it a page for the audience. Hence, it's your page. That's our strategy, being from the beginning, that each of the stakeholders, as mentioned in the previous slide, feel that this page is their page. And that we've done it through showcasing very genuine and emotional content. So so this is like the first stage of strategy. So we wanted to communicate the lifestyle of a student, and how a faculty stays with the students, how they are taught, how they stay together. And this, if you see the pictures around it, it's not usually posed pictures. It's very genuine pictures. It's usually students in action, or students outside class. And if you think from the audiences we mentioned about, most of them, even the students in this day and age, they want to see not just what they learn, because that's obviously one very important decision maker for them, but it's also how they stay outside class, because half of the day is outside the class. And showing how they live, how they stay, how they communicate with their friends, how they talk to the faculty, what kind of classrooms are there, becomes really important. So the majority of pictures you see, these are the recent posts we put up a few months ago. It's all about students having fun, or students really engaged in class, or students in the hostel getting dressed up with their uniforms. And towards the bottom right, you have just a picture of how we can showcase that journey ending for a student where they have graduated. Yeah, then second, now this becomes the emotional content, which amongst the steps that Michelle was talking about, the six of them, being the most important. What tugs back the viewers, or our followers about this page? Has to be some emotional content. And this became one of our main things that we've seen getting the maximum traction, is talking about a journey of a student. So this is a student joining from first year. Second year, they learn something and they go to internships. They go to maybe a summer school. They do these extra courses. Then they go back home. They try to cook something, and they try to have their own startups. Maybe work at another and maybe about where they come from, becomes also very good relatable content. So if you see, these are success stories, or just student stories talking about where they've come from, what are their achievements, and that also helps the audience, which is possibly prospective students, talk about are able to relate to these stories. So for example, if you're talking about someone, oh, this person has come from Delhi and he's made it to this college, and now he's learning about how to make the next Michelin star restaurant dish, it can connect to someone who might be in the same city, be it Delhi, be it anywhere in India. So it becomes a very relatable content. Next slide. Yeah, then again, an emotional tug, how to showcase that this college is not just about culture, but it also has a lot of history. And we did something very similar to the previous slide, is we ran a 5 generations campaign. So this college has been there for, a number of decades, and they have literally 5 generations of a family coming, teaching as a student, getting, as a student, then going as a faculty, then going, becoming the dean, and being in the management position. So we did this series of posts, and that got us a lot of good response, a good engagement rate. Where if a parent is on looking on this page, they realize this is a college with a lot of credibility because it's been there for the longest time. It also instills a lot of confidence in prospective students that this is being there, this is a long-term establishment, and they have such family values that students being taught here do not hate the college, but they're so happy to come back and teach, and maybe even stay and take up, be there for 20 years and maybe take up management roles like a dean or like a senior faculty. So then now this is a little more fun. So this is more towards how we can reach out to an audience which might not just be the students or not just parents, or maybe not just faculty. We try to open it up because it's a culinary college as well. So that's one of the courses they teach. We can do something like this. Now, this, as you would have realized, became such a big trend during the lockdown, where people were sharing recipes. That the coffee thing blew up a big time. That became a trend. So we said we might as well utilize the great chefs that we have on campus and make them do how to make recipes. And we did a full IGTV series of how, and this is all organic, by the way. Nothing is promoted. No money is spent on this, on ads. We try to launch these quick tips of how to make a cake, make a souffle, make a thandai, make a nice salad and a salad dressing, etc. We did a lot of these quick recipes being done by the students. So in this, what we were able to do, we were able to branch out from just our students or faculty to even say people trying stuff at home. That could be people staying alone, that could be mothers, that could be young young families just trying to have something new, and we were able to reach out in a much wider audience. This is just a way where we were able to increase the reputation of the college as being a leader in this space, and that space being in industry management or hotel management, or coming up with great dishes, or maybe the next best chef of India. Yeah, and now this is something we do very often. I think we've seen a lot of success with this strategy, and this we have applied to maybe all our accounts that we ever handle, is doing these quick quizzes on stories. So as you realize, stories gets nowadays on Instagram, this Instagram specific, maybe, and even Facebook as well, gets the maximum number of engagement or reach. And this happens much faster than posts because the algorithm on Instagram is not chronological, so it doesn't show up the latest post. It shows, it has many other factors it factors in to show a post when you open Instagram for the post to come first, while Instagram stories always are on the top, and you always have a better chance reaching out to your audience if you put up a story. Now these are just you taking advantage of different platforms, the different placements you have. And we do these quick quizzes and we talk about something generally very educative. Now this is again going back to one of the steps that Michelle highlighted, is the practical value of why do I need to follow this page. I think just on this point, I'll pause, is this becomes the most important thing that people usually miss out on, is if I'm putting out content, it needs to be for my audience, it needs to give me a reason to follow this page. Am I learning something out of it? Is it looking so pretty, or it looks visually so appealing that I would like to see this content every day? If you are out there, have your own Instagram account for your product, for your service, for maybe your artwork, or maybe your own food dishes, etc., it's very important to think, will this make me follow? And if you have the question answered well, then you are able to increase your followers, increase your reach, increase your engagement. So what we do very on a monthly basis with IHM, we run these small quizzes, and it just asks people of of topics, or things about something to do with food, something to do with any quizzes about hotel, something, whatever is related with the courses being taught. And we see, if you see on the right, we have some responses. We are able to reach almost 1,000 people every time we put up a story. Right, so we have a great engagement rate for this one. Right, so this is the last thing that we try to do, is being in touch with all the latest technology that all these platforms are offering you. And I don't know if anyone knows, but you must have seen people putting up these stories using these cool stickers. You can customize them. There are ways to make it and upload them, and they can be searched by anyone. So if anyone's there on Instagram, you search IHM, you will see these 3 stickers coming up. There are actually 5 on the next slide. You'll see more. Is this us leveraging what's out there? Yeah, we can go to the next slide. What's leveraging out there, these cool stickers that we have, and this allows the students to use these on their stories, and this just helps tie back to the branding. So if I'm a friend of a student in college and he uses, say, one of these stickers, I find it attractive and I can always tie it back in. Oh, it looks like something from IHM. And we, as you can see, this is all organic, no monthly, no ad spends at all. We were able to get 600,000 views on these stickers in just 3 months. And just because it's so easy to use and so easy to just put up, and it just makes your content look much better. And that Papa Smurf is actually the dean, so even the faculty is quite in on it. They're quite excited about this. Next slide. Yeah, and this is quickly how we will be able to achieve. So this industry standard of how someone percentage of your engagement of your page. Now, just to quickly tell you what engagement will mean is amongst all your followers, whoever sees your content engages. Now, engages could be tapping on it, clicking on it, commenting on it, liking on it. The usual benchmark in the industry is 5 to 6%. It's even lower for different type of industries. We were able to reach 16%. We hit that number every month. And the most engaging content, as I showcased before, is the emotional content. Whenever we talk about a student, their story, where they come from, that's the content that always hits home in terms of numbers. Next one.
So, sorry, Sam, before we go ahead, Mara, do we have enough time to quickly run through one more case study?
So we're almost at time. If you can quickly go through it, I think that'll be helpful for the students.
Sure, we can. So I'll quickly give you, yeah, so I'll just quickly give you a rundown. So this is a more paid program where we ran ads while IHM was completely organic. This has a mixture. And we can you jump to the next slide? So it's NSF. So what they do, they offer 100% merit-based scholarship. So it's not based on someone's financial background or financial backing. It's about how good a student is in terms of merit. And the best students do get awarded scholarships, fully paid scholarship and half scholarship. And they are students usually heading to Ivy League colleges in the US or top colleges in the Europe. So here, quickly, the audience was students applying for masters below 29 years, below 30 years, and we are targeting all cities in India. So this is open for everyone. The eligibility criteria just have to be an Indian student below 30. Next slide. So we divided this into 4 different phases, and one being the pre-launch, and I'll talk about it later very quickly, is like a pre-order strategy you might have seen with games, with video games, with some shoes or footwear or clothing or merchandise. Is you are able to pre-order and you get a first chance to get in. What we did, we really leveraged that part of our campaign. We had a hook. So basically, whoever signs up in the pre-launch stage gets 1 day link early. So he gets an early link to apply to the form, and that became a really good hook for all the students that they were able to do this. And we were able to generate a lot of leads in terms of emails and numbers, and we were able to target them in the launch stage. So on the date of the launch, I already had over 1,000, I think 52,000 signups in the pre-launch stage. And I was able to quickly use email marketing and WhatsApp strategy, and even use that data set to remarket them, or like it's called targeting that data set, whoever applied for the pre-launch on the date of the launch. And that made sure our launch was a success. We got a lot of conversion in the very first week. Then we have a post-launch day strategy. That's after the launch. We just try to sustain the campaign, try to keep narrowing down, and that's the next slide. Is you have a very simple funnel approach. This is a very traditional way of how you would go about an ad marketing campaign. You have a very broad audience, and you keep reallocating your budget to places which do well. So I opened up to entire India, whoever's below 29, and I keep narrowing down to cities that are doing well. And usually, as you would imagine, there were cities which had a lot of student population. That's Pune, Mumbai, Delhi, Lucknow, wherever all the IITs or NLUs are, IIMs are, that got usually the most. So we keep narrowing it down. And towards right in the end, we are doing a remarketing campaign. So whoever has applied or visited the website, we show them the ads again, because people do come in, because it's a very lengthy process of conversion. They do come back to the page to make a decision. Okay, is this good for me, etc., etc. So that towards the end, we're doing a remarketing campaign. And right when we have some signups who have people who have written down some things of the form but are yet to press the final submit, we do a direct interaction with them. And that we did over Zoom, where we were just doing a quick doubt clearing session, and just people had any question, they could answer the people managing this or us, and we were able to quickly answer and convert them there and then. So this was a four prong strategy we did for the rollout. Next slide. Yeah, so just to quickly how we did it, this is a pre-launch. We started some simple highlights. You can see the creatives. Next slide. And quickly just skim through these. And this was a pre-order thing where you make people think that they can get something if they apply first. And that really works to collect a lot of data, which you can use for your ad campaigns later on. Next. Yeah, then the launch, we use MailChimp. So Michelle was mentioning earlier, it is absolutely free to use. And it always sees a lot of conversions, at least for our audience, because students, they have email IDs, they want to take the time to take a decision. So MailChimp proved to be a really good way of marketing. Yeah, and then this is just making sure we have a good SEO, we rank better. When someone searches for scholarships, they show up because people might not know NSF as a scholarship. So we have a little SEO done on the page, so we show up on the top. Thanks. Yeah, and post-launch, what we're trying to sustain, we want to show the credibility of the thing. So we push testimonials of past year scholars and just talking to people as much as we can directly. That's through Instagram DMs, from Facebook messages, through emails. We can jump to the end. So these are all just making sure I've already talked about these. Yeah, this is towards the end. I just don't tell people only 2 hours left, 5 hours left, your last time to apply. This you will see it maybe with sales when it comes to selling products as well, to push you to take an action now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these are just overall numbers.
So, so I know we're at the end of our time. Quickly, it's running through a summary of what we've discussed today and concluding. So digital marketing, a lot of people think that just means Instagram and Facebook. Of course, as you've learned today, that is not the case. Radio, there are a lot of other digital platforms. There's, through podcasts, through email marketing, SMS, WhatsApp, there are many different channels. Number two, you always need paid advertising to get any results. As you saw in the IHM campaign, especially, there was no paid budget, but still, we were able to achieve great results. And third, one size fits all. You need to understand, like I said, right, what and why. What are you selling? Why are you selling it? Once you understand both of those things, I think it's important to sort of then choose your platform and then customize your campaign. With digital campaigns or digital marketing, people expect, things that are customized or tailored towards them. They don't want to see, they're not going to get impressed by any generic campaigns like that might work for other brands. So thanks a lot, guys. Really had a great time in the session. Thank you for all your questions. If there are any more questions, feel free to reach out. Our Instagram, website, and our email addresses are here. If there are any questions that I can answer right now, please feel free to put them in the YouTube chat box, and I would be happy to do so.